What's up everyone, it's Synchron here, and today I'll be bringing you up my Ancient Gear Cyber Dragon deck profile with new add-ins such as Cyber Eternity Dragon and Cyber Pharaohs. I'll explain the card choices later in the video, some adjustments I made to the deck, and so on. So all that said, let's get started. Alright, so starting off the monsters, definitely want to run at least 2 Ancient Gear Reactive Dragons. If it's tribute summoned using a Ancient Gear monster, it does piercing damage if it attacks a defense position monster, and if you tribute summon it using a gadget monster, it can attack twice during each battle phase. And during the damage step, your opponent can activate spell, trap, or monster effects. This one's actually pretty different compared to the original Ancient Gear monsters, where instead of spell and traps, this one has the added effect where monster effects cannot be activated during the damage step. And basically, during the end of the damage step, if this card battled, you could target one spell or trap on the field and destroy it. Next up, 2 Ancient Gear Golem, just for the target for Ancient Gear Catapult and for the Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem. Can't be special summoned except, by using Ancient Gear Catapult because it ignores that summoning condition. And if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage to your opponent, and your opponent cannot activate spell or traps during the damage step. Next up, arguably the best card of the deck when it comes to searching Ancient Gear cards, Ancient Gear Wyvern. If this card is normal summon or special summon, you can add an Ancient Gear card from your deck to your hand, except itself. You cannot set cards the turn you activate. No, for the rest of this turn, you only use the effect once per turn, and obviously if it battles, your opponent's monsters cannot activate their effects. Next up, 3 Hunting Hound. Basically, you use it for the fusion summon by using this card on your side of the field, and material goes from your hand. No, Ancient Gear monsters in your hand and your side of the field as well. But if it's normal summon, you burn your opponent for 600 life points. And basically, finishing off the Ancient Gear monsters, we run the Gearbox package. Basically, Ancient Gear box. If it's added to your hand except by drawing it, you can add a Ancient Gear monster with 500 or less attack from your deck to your hand, and really the only target is Ancient Gear gadget. So for the monsters that are not the Ancient Gears, you do run 2 Symphonic Guitar Warrior. You can discard a card, special summon a Symphonic Warrior from your monster from your deck to your side of the field, except itself and its monster effect. If this card is normal summon, you could target a Symphonic monster in your grave, special summon it. It works excellently well with 2 of the Symphonic Warrior mics. Pendulum effect you don't really use. You basically target a banished Symphonic Warrior added to your hand. But anyway, when this card is special summoned from your hand, you can special summon it from your hand by removing 3 Symphonic counters, but like I said, you use a guitar to get this card out on your side of the field as fast as possible. Anyways, if this card is normal summoned or special summoned, you can normal summon 1 monster during your main phase, in addition to your normal summon or set. So basically, you get guitar, you get this card on your side of the field, and you normal summon like Wyvern, you get an additional normal summon right off the bat. And if anything, scale 7, scale 1, just pendulum summon from there. Next up, 3, the original Cyber Dragon. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. 1 core, because why not? And 2 of the Cyber Pharaohs. Now, I actually wanted to talk about this card a little bit, because first off, you can special summon this card by attributing a machine monster you control, so pretty nice. Once per turn during your main phase, you can fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters you control, from your hand or field as material. So, if you have a Cyber Dragon in your hand, you could easily go for a fusion play right there. When a fusion monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you could banish this card from your grave, add 1 power bond from your deck to your hand. Now that's what I like about this card the most, because you use Howitzer, and more than likely the only way your opponent is gonna get rid of it is either by battling it or by kaijuing it. But more than likely, if they do battle it and this card's in your grave, banish it, add Power Bond to your side from your deck to your hand. And if you do have the correct materials in your hand, more than likely your opponent is going to be benefiting you. And if anything, you know, like, if it's on your side of the field, it's just a free fusion summon similar to a Hunting Hound basically. So I just figured like 2 copies is good enough. 3 is a bit laggy. 2 is a bit kind of pointless. No, sorry. 3 is a bit clunky. 1 is a bit useless for the deck. So that's why I figured 2 is a pretty good ratio. So for the spells and trap, definitely want to run 3. Integer Catapult. While you control no monsters, target a face-up card you control. Destroy it. If you do, special summon an Integer monster from your deck, ignoring some conditions. And if you want, if it's in the grave, banish it. If you do, target a face-up card you control. Destroy it. And if you do, special summon an Integer token to your side of the field. Except 2, Integer Fortress. During the turn, they are normal summon or special summon. Your opponent cannot target Integer monsters you control with card effects. And when an Integer card or effect is activated, your opponent cannot respond to that card or effect. And if this card is in the spell and trap zone is destroyed, you can special summon 1 Integer monster from your hand or grave to your side of the field, but you cannot special summon any more monsters the turn you activate this effect except Integer monsters. Next up, 2, Gear Town. This card allows you to normal summon an Integer monster requiring 1 less tribute. So say you want to go for Integer Golem. Instead of 2 tribute, you just go for 1 tribute. But this actually works for both players. And if this card is destroyed and sent to the grave, you can special summon an Integer monster from your hand, deck, or grave. Except 2, Power Bond. Best fusion summon card for the deck. However, its only drawback is, well, basically, let me actually explain the card. Fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand or field as material, and it gains attack equal to the original attack, its original attack. And during the end phase, you basically take life point damage equal to the attack gained when using Power Bond. So basically, if you don't OTK your opponent in time, your life points are gonna suffer. Next up, 2, Overload Fusion. Fusion summon a Dark Machine fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing materials listed on it from your field or your grave. Next up, 2, Limited Removal. I was going to use 3, but I figured 2 is just as good for the deck. Double the attack of all machine monsters you control. Double the attack of all machine monsters you control by their original attack. And during the end phase, destroy all those monsters that had their attack doubled. Next up, 2, Double Cyclone, just to pop your opponent's back row and your back row. Say you want to pop Integer Fortress, you do that, and you just take out 1 card your opponent controls during the activation as well. Next up, Draw Power 2, Iron Draw, one of my favorite cards for the deck. If you control exactly 2 machine machine effect monsters, not that hard, and no other monsters, draw 2 cards, and for the rest of this turn, after this effect resolves, you can only special summon once. Not that hard with this deck, mainly because you really want to go for the fusion plays, the Power Bond fusion summoning, and just go for a game right there. So if anything, once you get Power Bond in your hand, you're set to go. And when I said trap, I mean 1 trap. Integer Reborn, once returned, if you control no monsters, you can target an Integer monster in your grave, special summon it, and if you do, you get 200 attack. Even if this card leaves the field, and you can only use this effect once per turn. So that does it for these spells and trap cards. For the extra deck, we do run 2. Howitzer, 3 was a bit clunky, so I figured 2, because why not? 2 Integer monsters to fusion summon into, unaffected by other card effects, and during your main phase, you can inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent's life points, and you can only use this effect once per turn. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the grave, you can special summon an Integer monster from your deck, ignoring summoning conditions. Next up, 1 Ultimate Integer Golem. 1 Integer Golem and 2 Integer monsters must be fusion summoned. If this card attacks a defense position monster, it inflicts piercing damage to your opponent's life points. And if this card attacks, your opponent cannot activate spell or traps until the end of the damage step. If this card is destroyed, You can target one Integer Golem in your grave, special summon it, ignoring its summoning conditions. Except one of my favorite boss monsters of the deck, 2 Chaos Ancient Gear Giants. Unfortunately, you require 4 Ancient Gear monsters, which is a bit harder with this build since you don't run pure Ancient Gears. But enough of that. Must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Unaffected by spell and traps, your opponent's monster effects cannot be activated during the battle phase. If this card, and this card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. So basically, if they have a full field and this card's on your side of the field, you basically just run over your opponent's monsters because it's a 4500 beater. And if this card attacks a defense position, inflict piercing damage to your opponent. The only drawback is the requirements for Ancient Gear monsters is a bit much for this card, but if you do manage to get it out, you basically go for game there. Alright, so next up we do run one Chimera Overtech Dragon. Yes. Cyber Dragon and 1+ Machine Monster must be fusion summoned. If this card is fusion summoned, you send all other cards you control to the grave. The original attack and defense of this card is determined by the number of fusion materials used to get this card out on your side of the field. And with depending on how many fusion materials you use, you multiply that number by 800. So let's say you use 3, then 8, 16, 24. It's now 2400 attack on the field. And this card, each turn, this card can attack all your opponent's monsters, depending on the number of materials used to fusion summon this card. So say your opponent has a full board, they can attack. Now this monster can attack 3 of those monsters, basically. Next up, Chimera Fortress Dragon can't be used as fusion material, and you can't contact fusion this card with Cyber Dragon on your side of the field, and all machine monsters on both sides of the field, like even if you don't control them. And this card's attack is determined by the number of fusion material, the number of contact materials used to get it on your side of the field. So say you use like Cyber Dragon and maybe like 2 other Ancient Gears on your side of the field. That's assuming your opponent doesn't run a machine deck. Now it's a 3000, but if your opponent did run a machine deck, obviously the attack points will be a lot different. Next up, for the extra monster zone clearing, similar to Chimera where it's a contact fusion, but except a Cyber Dragon and any number of monsters in the extra monster zone, so it's kind of limited to how high its attack could become when contact fusing. It can be used as fusion material as well, and the only difference here is that instead of gaining 1000 attack, it gains 1200 attack. So say you use your Cyber Dragon on your side of the field, and your opponent has an extra monster in the extra monster zone, and you have a monster in your extra monster zone. You have a Chimera Mech Dragon that's about 12, 24, 3600 attack. So it's really, you really use it for like the what's it called, the kaiju of the extra monster zone. And the new add-in that I did run in this build is Cyber Eternity Dragon. So first off, a Cyber Dragon and 2+ machine monsters. If you have a machine monster in your grave, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. If this fusion summoned card you control is sent to the grave by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon one Cyber Dragon monster from your hand, deck, or grave. You can banish this card from your grave. This turn, your opponent cannot target fusion monsters you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by card effects. In a sense, you kind of use this card for the either summon it in defense position, 44,000 defense, or you use it to protect your fusion monsters from your opponent's card effects, basically. For the XZ monsters, I would suggest running one heavy armored trained Iron Wolf, 2 level 4 machine monsters. You can get that with this deck. Once per turn, you can detach a material, then target a card you control. You can target a machine monster you control. This turn, that monster could attack your opponent directly. Also, other monsters you control cannot attack. If this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, or by battle and sent to the grave, you can add 1 level 4 machine monster from your deck to your hand. So either way, like worst comes to worst, if it's destroyed by battle or card effect, you get a free search. Or if not, you could just allow your machine monster to attack your opponent directly, hopefully going for game. Next up for the rank 5s, we run one level 61, number 61. I can't pronounce that. Anyways, 2 level 5s, you can make that with its deck. As a return, you can detach a material from this card, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, destroy it. If you do, they get burned for that monster's original attack points. And finishing off the level 5s, 1 Cyber Dragon Nova and 1 Cyber Dragon Infinity. Finally, for the links, we do run 1 Cleave Genius, 2 Machine Monsters, easy with this deck. If this link, this link summon card is unaffected by spell traps and the activation of other link monsters. Once returned, you can target one face-up card both players control. They both have their effects negated until the end of this turn. And if you simultaneously special summon 2 machine monsters to both its arrows, you can add a level 5 or higher machine monster from your deck to your hand. And finally, 1 Underclock Taker, just to really help out with the OTK plays. 2 effect monsters, easy with this deck. Once returned, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls. You can target a face-up monster this card points to, and 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. That monster they control loses attack equal to the monster this card points to. But that wraps up the extra deck, and yeah, that's basically it. Alright, so this is basically the end of the video. I actually want to thank my friend, for reminding me about the symphonics being a thing. I say kindly because I actually had this idea about last semester ago, so give or take like 7 months ago. It's just I never put it into action within the deck because I was just so busy with school and all that. And also I was very motivated by a certain Yu-Gi tuber who is now gone in terms of like retirement, etc. It is a shame that he is now retired from Yu-Gi tubing, but you know, his content, his memories would all live with us. I just really hope he's doing well for himself right now, especially. But yeah, no more rambling. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Like it, dislike it, say whatever you want in the comment section down below. Share it with a friend, and yeah, let's see how far we can get with the channel.